You're watching LaCaze Live. This week, we're going to tackle a very, very serious issue: mental health. It has become a very, very serious issue in our society today, especially anxiety. In the Black community is big right now. And this week, I have my special guest, Ladda Hawkins. She's going to help me tackle the issue, and we're going to get right into it. So I really hope that you learned something. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, depression and anxiety has become really big in society. And I'm not sure if it's because people are now having a name for it. Because I personally believe that we struggle, especially in our community, African American community. I believe we struggled with it before in the past, but we just didn't have anything to tag it as. But now you see with celebrities, social media, you have teens who are committing suicide as young as 9 years old.
It's true.
Behind it. What do you think have changed?
I'd agree with you with just kind of the overexposure of it. Just everyone, if you're kind of feeling sad for a couple of days, and all of a sudden, are you dealing with depression? And so there's more awareness of it, but I don't think it's really true awareness because it's kind of still, there's a lot that goes into it that's not being addressed. Just because we have sad days, that doesn't make us depressed. Okay. It's when it's a pervasive behavior where you can't function on a regular level like you would normally do, does it become more clinical. So I think, when people are struggling and they might have just had a loss of some type, people are real quick to almost put them on a time clock to be like, okay, you have 2 weeks to get back to yourself. And when they're still struggling, it's like, oh, you're dealing with depression. So I really think that does kind of go hand in hand with why we're seeing more cases.
Okay. Now, you yourself have struggled with anxiety and depression in the past. Was it something, a particular incident that maybe triggered it? Or do you believe that it was something there all along that you didn't know?
That's a good question. When I first got diagnosed, I had a lot going on in my life. I had newly been married. 2 years before that, had my first and only child, and just changed jobs like somewhere in between there. And it was just a lot going on. To what really was the trigger for me was I found myself just crying. I would come home, I would feel tired, and I would just cry all the time. And I wasn't able to get out of it. It was just like, okay, I should be happy. All I did was just come home. It was a good day today. Why am I crying? So I decided to go to a doctor. And when they first said, well, you fill out a little form, and it's really behavioral. It's not like you can have a blood test to see that you have depression. So it's asking you to reflect on your own activities, and it's from your own perspective even, which sometimes can be skewed, when you're in the middle of it. So he, said, okay, it looks like you have a mild depression, that's expected being everything that's going on. And then he prescribed some medication. I was actually offended at that. Okay. I was like, oh no, I'm not crazy. I just, I'm crying a little bit. What's going on? And he was like, try it for a little bit. It affects everyone differently. I took the prescription, and as soon as I left out the doctor's office, I threw it away. I didn't feel like it was necessary.
So do you feel like, and that's a really, really, really good point. A lot of people feel like they can't speak to someone because they don't want to be labeled as crazy or having an issue. And I know people think that psychiatrists or therapists or counselors, their first point of solution is prescribing medication. Do you think that is a case for everyone, or do you think that it's become such a high issue now in society that everyone is struggling with some type of form of mental illness, whether it's depression or anxiety, that the first thing it is to prescribe medicine to cope with it?
I think education really would come first before the medication, even before any other treatment. You need to know what it is that the doctor was looking at to consider that this matches what's going on with you, because again, the doctor can only kind of look at it from the outside. You have to be able to communicate with them what's going on. So it's like if he asked me a question, did you cry today? Well, the answer is yes, but did I cry yesterday? No, I didn't. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on that amount of communication, but then just to really understand, okay, what are these feelings? How do I differentiate this from really feeling just down because, something was what everybody else experiences. So further on, I did get some more education about it because it started just kind of coming up again. It got better over a little course of time, but then I did learn there are some biological triggers to it. And it was explained to me. So then I was a little more accepting of trying the medication, because now it seems like, okay, these aren't crazy pills. These actually have something to do biologically, because even from a young age, a teenager, I struggled with migraines, and I was prescribed birth control pills at an early age. And I know that was a big controversy in my family, because they're like, hey, you're 11 years old, you shouldn't be on birth control. And my doctor was like, that's what's needed to regulate my hormones. So when I found out that the depression medication was very similar to that it was going to help even things out, I was more willing to try it. And it does help. It does help. Am I medicated now? No. Because then what the next step was, I decided to find someone to talk to. And then they gave me some tools that helped me cope, because it's a lifelong problem, and you'll have days where you're down and you just have to learn how to adjust from there.
That is a really good point. We have to take a commercial break. We have to pay these bills. We'll be right back discussing mental health. Welcome back. This is LaCaze Live, and this week we are discussing mental health. Once again, I have my special guest, Ladda Hawkins, here with me. Before the commercial break, she was speaking on her doctor had prescribed her some medicine, and she found out that it was hereditary. So it's something biological that was an imbalance within you, to where he felt the medication would be well for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that because of our faith base, because I know you said when you first got the prescription, you threw it away. Mm-hmm. Immediately coming out the office,
right?
You threw it away. I'm going to speak on myself. I grew up in the church, and social media and society, religion is really, really, really heavy, mm-hmm. which is okay. But do you think that a lot of people are against actually going to seek help and taking medicine because they feel that it would maybe some way battle with what they believe as far as their faith?
Definitely. Just ways you get support. Some of it is more preached, literally. Go see your pastor, talk to your mother, talk to people, and they'll love on you. But what if you don't love on yourself? Who really helps you with that? Then it's the push. Well, you need to pray harder. You need to do this. And it just, everyone, until you really understand what's best for you, everything else is just kind of coming at you. So between what the church might have for you, what your best friend might have for you, your own family members, and even the doctors, it's going to take a combination of everything for you to really pick and choose when to use what. All of it's just adding on to really your better health. So I don't think one outweighs the other, but definitely there's going to be different people that kind of push certain things because they just really are coming from their experience of, oh, okay, this is what worked for me, maybe it'll work for you.
Well, speaking back onto you said you threw the prescription away, and then you said you educated yourself. So what methods did you take to actually educate yourself to say, okay, well, maybe I will go back and give this a try?
Oh, internet. Google at first, WebMD, because very first thing, I did is I looked at what is it? It's not Prilosec, but Prozac. That was my first medication. And I looked at it and it was just like, it said, it just has a bad name, more or less. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I didn't do that. But then as I started looking at it, it gives you a list of other types of medications, and I was like, okay, it's, Xanax and this. I've heard this kind of calms you down, because where I saw that it kind of came up with me is through anxiety. It was like I would take on so much, I'd let it work me up, I'd not meet my own expectations of myself, and then I'll be really hard on myself and just be really down. It's like, okay, I was supposed to be Wonder Woman today. It didn't happen, because it won't happen. And then it's just like, oh, I'm a failure. I can't do this. I can't do that. No one likes me. And it becomes all the negatives. So it's like, it's a roller coaster up, and it's, straight fall down. And that's where you have to realize, okay, are these real feelings? Are they, the level of where you are in that beating yourself up, and just what can help you at that point.
Okay. How long have you been off the medicine?
I actually, against, better doctor's judgment, I go on and off, because I'm on Wellbutrin right now, and you're supposed to take it steadily, because it's not like a instant. It's not like Tylenol where you take it and it, instantly helps you. It's supposed to be in your system and everything. So I take it here and there. I'm supposed to be again daily, but the last time I took it was probably about 2 weeks ago. Just, I knew I had a lot of stuff going on at work, and I was going to need to kind of have a mellow head about things, so I just took it, and I noticed, towards the end of the week, I was able to really handle things better. So
you're able to better feel yourself and judge yourself of when you need to take it.
Definitely.
I know personally, because I struggle with anxiety, and I believe everyone struggles with depression here and there. Mm-hmm. But you said a key thing of educating yourself enough to know that it's okay to seek help. Because I'm going to speak on myself. Raised up, like I said, in a faith-based home, taught, God did not give you a spirit of fear. Especially African Americans, we have to be so strong and we have to carry everything. Sometimes it's okay to get help from other people. God also gave us a spirit of discernment. So those, medical people are placed in their position for a reason, and that is to help. And you just have to know when it's time to actually seek it. I know I fought a lot against it, because, like you said, you don't want to be labeled.
Right.
No one wants to be labeled as a crazy person. But seeking help doesn't mean that you're crazy. Everyone experiences things through their lives. You have trials, you have tribulations, and it's okay to speak to other people about it. Especially if you feel that you can't speak to family, you can't speak to friends. Because I know sometimes, even speaking on myself, you feel like other people won't understand.
Right.
Because sometimes you don't understand it. You don't understand yourself. Like you said, I had a good day at work. Why am I crying? Why am I coming home and I'm sad and nothing has happened? So I'm glad that you seek help. I want you guys to know that it's okay to seek help. We have to take another commercial break, but stay right there. We will be right back.
To the sky, I ain't got nothing to prove. Sometimes I feel like I ain't got nothing.
Welcome back. This is LaCaze Live. Once again, we are discussing mental health, specifically anxiety. Anxiety. Every time you turn around, you hear about it, you see about it. It has now become a huge issue. But how do you know if you have anxiety? Like, how does that look like? Because anyone can have a bad day. Anyone can be stressed, and it's a lot. Anyone can be nervous. So how do you actually break it down to where you know, okay, this is anxiety. How do I deal with this? Do I need to seek help for it? How did you know that, okay, this is anxiety and I need to get some help for it?
the first or the biggest thing to remember, as you said, everyone experiences levels of it. You know, we all get nervous. Fear is natural. But when it's pervasive, and that's the clinical definition, when it actually keeps you from doing the regular things you would do, it keeps you from eating, sleeping, participating in social activities, it keeps, you can't focus, you can't academically focus, you know, and it's because you have this overwhelming sense of fear. That's when it's time to get help. I actually worked with, in my training in special education as a teacher, I work with autistic as well as emotionally disturbed kids. And there's physical symptoms. And one of the ones we tell parents to look for in children is that stomach ache. You know, and I remember being young myself and I didn't want to take a test. Oh, my belly hurt, you know. But if that's continual because of those nerves, because of that anxiety, that's kind of a red flag. You know, some kids, it is too much, you know, where they won't eat, where they can't focus on anything else because they're so worried about whatever the situation is causing the anxiety that now that anxiety is pervasive. So if it's
it is mental, however, it can affect your physical, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What could be methods of handling it on a day-to-day basis?
Classic things with the anxiety attack is the shortness of breath. If you've ever been in a situation, let's say you was really hating to go to work behind something that was going on at work, or you didn't want to meet face to face with somebody because you had an issue with them, and you felt the shortness of breath, the pounding heart rate, you're literally having a panic attack. So the first step is actually to breathe. And as simple as that sounds, it's really difficult because
you're in the actual moment.
Right, you're not thinking that you're breathing fast or you're having difficulty breathing until you just really take a moment to be like, why can't I catch my breath? It's just, and so holding it, letting it go, breathing in, breathing out, and it's gonna slow everything down. And a lot of times it helps you focus mentally back on, okay, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. So really taking that time to breathe, stop what's going on, because that anxiety builds. It's like, again, like a roller coaster, to where first it's this, first it's I know I'm going to have to meet so-and-so. Then it's like, oh wow, I'm about to walk through the door and so-and-so's sitting there. Oh no, so-and-so's looking at me. So it's like escalating, and now you're, having that attack. Sweating, all those different things that, can happen naturally with any fearful situation. But when you literally shut down, where if you were about to say something to this person and now you can't, where if someone was talking to you and you're just like, that's when anxiety has become pervasive, because you're not able to continue to function in the way that you would have normally done, where everyone else would have been able. Public speaking, I'm afraid, but okay, I'm making it through. My voice may quiver for a little bit, but I'm making it through. Someone with anxiety that takes hold of them will just literally stop. And just, everyone from the outside is looking like, what's going on? And they're just, having a full meltdown. Yeah,
So how did you learn different methods to cope with your anxiety to where you didn't have to depend on your medication?
It's still very much an everyday process, because that perfectionist thing, I think women are kind of guilty of, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to do the best I can, and just keep pushing. I think Mark Zuckerberg said there's a difference between finished and perfect. Sometimes you just got to get things done, because if you keep, let me just tweak this, let me just do that, it's still incomplete. But if you're like, okay, here's my effort, I'm welcome to feedback, then at least you have a finished product. And many times what you've put forward is good enough already. And I think we just have to really internalize that. You're good enough. And what you put forward is what you put forward. And people, be welcome to that feedback. I really think a lot of that anxiety behind that perfectionism it's because, oh no, don't say nothing because, you know, I'm in my feelings and, oh, you didn't like that, you know, I did extra.
So you're more so your anxiety is more of you want to be a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that you're not, you didn't have a perfect day, you didn't do a perfect project, you didn't do perfect at work today, then that can cause your anxiety to build.
Yes.
Because it's different levels. Everyone can have anxiety about different things. I get anxiety about driving on highways, driving over overpasses. People can have like anxiety speaking in front of large crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety can be on different things. But at the end of the day, she stated, when you know you need to seek help, if it's continually and it's constantly building to where you cannot function on a day-to-day basis, please, please, please seek someone to speak to. Because although it is mental and it's a state of fear, as well as you heard, it can definitely affect the physical. And you don't want it to affect your body so much to where something happens. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys learned something. I know I did. Make sure if you are struggling with any type of mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, seek help. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're weak. Everyone goes through something. Thank you. This has been LaCaze Live. See you next week.
Last year, and that's why she wouldn't go to school. She got to where, like I said, the stomach ache, always just really sick. They'd force her to go to school. She'd throw up or do something to get brought back home. And, you know, I'm just prayerful that, you know, she's finding help. But she had to get put into a inpatient program because it's eating, they dealt with it more like it was anorexia.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all triggered for her self-esteem. She didn't feel like she was good enough.
And that's heavy. And the team, I mean, you have teams, even with the bullying. I know we fought growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone got picked on. But it was never at a level of, to the point of where it is to where they're no longer eager or they're deciding to take their life.
I think it's being glamorized. You know, I watched that.
I agree.
And it's just like, oh, you know, what pills are you on? And even I have a 21-year-old nephew, and he keeps throwing the depressed word. And it's, I noticed that it's usually after I got on you. Right.
It's become like a popular subject.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm just depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I'm bipolar. It's been becoming glamorized, like you stated. Do you think that, you said you have children,
mm-hmm.
Do you think that they have been affected by your anxiety?
Definitely. My oldest son, who's 17, about to be 18, he's very cautious. He doesn't like to really try things, new things, and I always have to be like, it's okay, you know, try it. And he's like, why? You know, it's gonna do this. So I noticed the cynicism in him. My youngest, last year they diagnosed with ADHD, and I was really upset because I was like, if anything, he's gifted. He just sees things differently, and he has such an old soul. He's such a sweet child. And I said, you know, because then they brought up the point that he might have mild depression. I was like, no, I'm not even seeing that. Just because you're tenderhearted, I don't think is another word for being depressed and having that, you know, if you know, if he's in a group of other boys and someone says something mean, he's more sensitive, you know, than I guess most boys. And, you know, I think even the male-female dynamic with it too. You know, oh, he's sensitive, you know, is he a sissy? What's going on with that? He needs to toughen up.
Yes.
And it's like, no, he's a sweet person. He's genuinely concerned that you don't like him, and he's looking at it as, what did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. And I have to remind him, I said, you know, Michael, just, you're fine. And if they don't like you, it's their loss and stuff. But maybe I look for it because I'm being very careful to try to not just, have that spill over, but I do see those things in my own kids. But
Do you think that they have noticed, though, with your own anxiety that you were struggling with it, or do you think it's visible for them?
That's so hard to say as a mom because, you do so much to just
Present.
present. Yeah. And so it's just like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure if you ask them,
They would
I'm
probably.
open to say, they might have seen some times that they were like, whoa, and everything.
I say that because, like I said, I struggle with anxiety with driving.
Mhm.
And I know I remember an incident. I have a teen daughter, and I'm driving, and my son, he's just going and going and going and going. It's making noise. And I think my daughter can visually see that I was having issues.
Mhm.
So she was like, be quiet.
Mhm.
Mommy's trying to drive.
Mhm.
Now, until that moment, I didn't know that it was visible
Mhm.
to them, at least to her. But in that moment, I realized, okay, maybe I'm not handling this or hiding this as well as I think I am. Because now my daughter has spoke on it, and so she can clearly see that there's an issue because now she wants her brother to be quiet because mommy needs to focus because she's driving. So that's why I asked, do you feel that it has affected your kids because they have visibly see you struggle with your anxiety?
I'm pretty sure it just, even the same with your friends and family. Anyone who knows you and knows your behaviors, if you, I'm real bad. I don't have a poker face whatsoever. If I don't like you, I'm sitting there looking at you like, and I don't mean to. And it's just like people are like, well, you don't like that person. Well, how you know? It's like, it's right there. But I think those close to you pick up on things, and like you would, if you saw someone tense up when someone walks in the room, you're going to pick up on like what's going on with them and stuff, So I think it's just kind of natural. I don't think I'm really over, and this is just kind of where I am right now with it. I'm over trying to please everybody else. I really am. I'm just good. So it's just like it's between me and God at this point, and it's helping a lot. Just knowing that kind of all that I do isn't gonna be enough if I'm not satisfied with it, and I just need to know that everything I do is my best if it's coming from my heart as being so, and just be open to feedback, and also always remember who's giving you the feedback, because sometimes people give you feedback just to be ugly.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to do this and this, and kind of I like the way you handle. It's just like, so what do you think?
Yeah.
And I ask that question a lot. I always be like, so what do you think? So if you're gonna criticize me, I need to hear something from what you think.
Your perspective.
Yeah, it's just.
I agree.
But the driving thing, I was sharing with Derek a while back that I had when I was 19, a really bad car accident that almost killed my best friend who was riding in the car with me. I lived in Hawaii and doing stuff we ain't supposed to be doing 2 o'clock in the morning, talking and playing around in the car. I turned around and I thought I saw something in the road. So going 55, 60, whatever we were going, I jerked the wheel. Spun out, rolled down the hill, totaled the car. And my friend was in the back seat and she got crushed, if you would. She had internal bleeding and a broken arm. And I was able to walk off. And then everybody, as they were finding out, about our big accident and all that other stuff, they're just like, what are you doing home? You were the one driving. It should have been you. And I was like, whoa. So all of that got repressed until I moved out here in that little dip going from Grand Prairie, coming off of 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it just opens up. It's like the heavens open up over 408 and all that stuff. You're driving, and I remember the first couple of times I came out here, and it was just like whoosh, and just seeing everything just had my heart racing. And you're supposed to be going, 40 going down there? I'm just riding the brake. And everyone's passing, honking and stuff. I'm like, look, I'm trying not to just, I'm squeezing so hard. I had longer nails. I remember I had the imprint of my nails in my hand. I got back, down there, and I was just like, I can't do this again. What other way can I not take this road? And I used to take 30 because I lived south off of 20, and my sister stayed up here in North Dallas. and I would just take the long way each time. And she's just like, why do you do that? I said, I can't do that road. She's like, it's just a road. And I was just like, okay, and I tried it a couple more times, and it was still very intense. And it got to where I started focusing on the back lights of the car in front of me. And I didn't look at anything else. I would just look at those back lights and just keep going. Not looking at anything else. The next thing I know, we're at the bottom of the hill. So you have to find ways to kind of focus, to breathe, and it's always, unfortunately, if that's your trigger, it's always going to be your trigger. Is what I learned too by going to therapy. But you just downsize it.
I guess that's what I fight with, because I never had an issue with driving.
Mm-hmm.
I never had an issue with driving. I went to a funeral. I hadn't had any sleep, and my kids and I were driving back. It was a long trip. It was a 9-hour drive, and I was doing it all myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining and dark, and I was just trying to get home. So I'm just pushing through, and all of a sudden now that I know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
having a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull over to the side of the road, and I just couldn't make it. So I trundled down, kind of like he was going down the hill, and I got to the exit, and it was a gas station. And I pulled in, and it just so happened to be a state trooper at the actual gas station. But it just felt like all over my body, I was just weak.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't function, I couldn't operate. Everything was just cloudy and dizzy. And my kids are asleep. They're all asleep, so I'm fighting this through myself, and I go in the store and I'm trying to walk, and I can literally barely walk.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body you felt like it's just broken down. You're just about to pass out. And I just asked the state trooper to help me. And he called the ambulance, and they came, and he was like, she's having an anxiety attack. Mm-hmm. Now, in all of my life, I had never had an anxiety attack. I had never had any issues driving. I've always been the one, I'll drive, I'll go the long trips, and I'll drive for hours anywhere, overpasses. Didn't affect me. But ever since that moment, I know that I struggle with that. Mm-hmm. And it's not every day. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I can go, and I'm over it, and then just a small episode. Mm-hmm. The slightest thing might happen, and now it's like I'm back hurting, and I'm like, I can't do it, and it feels like the whole feeling that I had that night just comes over my body. Mm-hmm. It's where you're weak, you can't see. So when you said it can affect your physical, just like the little boy in the stomach ache, I know it's mental, but I definitely feel it over your body, and I don't think someone who hasn't experienced it or struggled with it don't actually just understand that part. Mm-hmm. So it's just if you just train your mental, everything is be okay.
But it is chemical, because the tiredness you felt was you had an overdose of adrenaline. Your body, because of the excitement, started pumping it out. And again, from researching, when it hits, it's like lactic acid. Mm-hmm. That it stiffens your muscles. Mm-hmm. And it does that because if you notice, when you're scared, you like freeze and you push out, and you kind of get harder and stuff, and that's why your muscles do that. It kind of makes it stand harder or something. So that's why it's like stretching it out to where now that you're relaxing, you feel tired, because it's like if you were like flexing in a position for that long, and now you're told to release. You're going to feel like, oh, God, I feel that. So you had an overdose, basically. And, you're feeling tired, and the vision blurring. And I'm trying to think some of the weirdest things I had happen. But that breathing, I remember feeling like, I felt like it was my tongue. Like, why is my tongue so big? What's going on? And I'm over here like, and like literally doing the... And, they're just like, calm down. I'm like, I can't breathe. You don't understand. And you're like freaking out. And people are just looking at you like, no, all you have to do is all I have to do right now is survive. You just don't understand. It's on. And so it's intense, and it gets to be intense. Like I said, I wish, and that was just what I learned from therapy. But it helped me in that weird way to know that it's not cured. You know, I think if someone would have lied to me and say, hey, just go to therapy for 3 months and, you know, once you feel good, everything's going to be good. The first time it would have came back, because it comes back, I would have been like, oh my God, what happened? And then I would have been harder on myself. But during my therapy, they said that it's going to come back. What are you going to do? And so that's what we always practice. What are you going to do? Who are you going to talk to? When you feel like you've been sad for consecutive days and you even have those thoughts, those suicidal thoughts and stuff, talk to somebody, because it's really hard to get another perspective when you're so into something. And it's just like, you know, like, I know when I feel like, again, I'm beating myself up and I don't really think other people like me, I start picking and so-and-so doing this and that. I'd be cynical in my own head, and no, they didn't do anything to me. She just looking at me because, oh, whatever, you know, I'm okay with it. And then I started attacking her to try to get in my head, trying to not attack myself. And then I noticed, now this is like day 3, and I'm still mad. And I'm just like mad for no reason. And it's just like, why am I so mad? And that's why I was like, it all stemmed from, you know, not meeting my own goal. And then when I realized the connection, it's just like, they don't even know I'm talking crazy in my head about them. They looking at me like, why she don't want to eat with us no more? Because y'all crazy and I don't like you. And it's just like, no, it's me. It's me. So that's why I said I've really let go. And actually, my faith has really helped me. Mm-hmm. It's kind of reintroduced all this to me. And that's why I was sharing with him that, you know, even just having this opportunity to talk about it, I used to not be able to talk about it without crying. Because I used to be like, oh, you know, I'm so broken, I'm so torn. And I mean, I was in therapy when, you know, Facebook Live first started really hitting, and they told me just be transparent. And I said, okay, you know, let me try that. So I got on there and I started off good. I had like 5 minutes and no tears, and then it was just like, oh my God. And I just said, I so wanted to just turn it off, delete, don't do this. But I said, I'm going to keep it on. I'm going to keep it on. I'm going to make it through. And I think I ended up babbling for about another 10 minutes. I started getting so many people that reached out to me that I didn't know, friends of friends, all this other stuff. Like, you were dealing with something. And I was like, I'm currently dealing with stuff. And they were just like, thanks for just sharing that. And I was just like, I don't even know how I did. I say God made that my platform and stuff. And even now, I'm studying to how to be a grief counselor, because I just kind of feel like that's my calling. I'm scared to death of it, but I just feel like it's just there. And when it happens, that's when God comes and takes control and will help me through it.
Amen with that.